IGCSE Biology Syllabus Statement 277C, and in this particular video we're covering the regulation of body water content, which is also an example of homeostasis. We've seen that homeostasis is about maintaining constant conditions, and in this case the regulation is of body water content, which is largely making up the plasma of blood and the tissue fluid that surrounds cells. The homeostatic control of body water content is known as osmoregulation. Osmoregulation has been covered previously in 268 and 274, and in fact all across section 2I on the topic of excretion. In the regulation of body water content, the major receptor is the hypothalamus of the brain, and the stimulus to the hypothalamus is blood. The effector in this is the kidney, and more particularly the collecting tube of the kidney nephron. Students are referred to syllabus statements 267 to 275 for more details on the kidney as the organ of osmoregulation. The output from the kidney, of course, is filtered blood and regulated blood, and of course this will ultimately flow back to the hypothalamus to give further input, setting up once more a negative feedback loop. We illustrate this with the following diagram, in which the horizontal axis refers to time and the vertical axis refers to this point here is the fixed point where we have isotonic conditions. Here we have hypertonic conditions, and down here we'll have hypotonic conditions. This refers to the notion that cells surrounded by tissue fluid will exchange water with the surrounding tissue fluid. When we have hypertonic conditions, the cells will largely lose water. When the conditions are hypotonic, the cells would largely gain water. And when we have isotonic conditions, the exchange is equal. And this represents the ideal for animal cells, like in humans. Because of changes in the internal environment, the input to the hypothalamus may be that blood becomes more concentrated. It would be rising on our graph here like this. And the response from the hypothalamus must bring the concentration of blood back down to the isotonic point, and this is brought about by the action of anti-diuretic hormone, and the target for ADH is the collecting tube on the kidney nephron, and its effect is the reabsorption of water into blood plasma, diluting it. It may be the input to the hypothalamus is a more dilute blood levels, so it would be falling on the graph here like this, and it's therefore necessary for the hypothalamus to respond and bring the blood back up to the isotonic conditions. And this is achieved by the inhibition of ADH hormone from the hypothalamus to the kidney nephron. And that has the effect of putting more water into urine so that it becomes more dilute. Another way of saying this is that we have reduced reabsorption of water in the nephron. Notice in this instance that the communication between the hypothalamus in the brain and the kidney is brought about by the action of a hormone ADH, and the principles of hormone function is covered in 2.8.2.